Hello, it's good to have you with us today for another episode of Bible Topics Discussion. Today we're talking about loving our enemies. Our topic last week was the greatest commandment, which was to love God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our mind, and with all of our strength. Then Jesus added that the second is to love our neighbor as ourselves. Well, Jesus also instructed us to love our enemies. So let's see what Jesus says about this subject.
In Luke chapter 6, verses 27 through 30, Jesus says, "But I tell you who hear me, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. If someone takes your cloak, do not stop him from taking your tunic. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back." And Jesus follows by saying that very famous verse in verse 31, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." Also in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 through 45a, Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven."
Sounds good in theory, but in practice, not so much. So why does Jesus want us to love our enemies? It requires us to become more like Jesus. This is no parable he's telling. It's the truth from his own life. He wants us to be like him. Preaching it isn't enough. We have to practice it. Okay, Jesus, how? Well, he gives us the answer in the verses Cal read. Pray. We Christians have no stronger weapon than prayer. Praying for his enemies was one of the last things Jesus did as he was dying on the cross. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. So when we're told we should pray for our enemies, we're being asked something very specific. That's to intercede on behalf of those who do us injury, those who mock us, those who threaten us, and even those who want to kill us. Prayer is where the seeds for that love are sown.
Yes. Romans chapter 12 verse 14 says, "Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse." Philippians chapter 2 verses 3 and 4 says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others." Matthew chapter 7 verse 12 says, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets." 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 9 tells us, "Do not repay evil with evil, or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing."
There are three ways God gives us to love our enemies. These three ways are praying for them, blessing them, and forgiving them. We have mentioned pray for them and blessing them, so let's talk about forgiving them. We talked a lot about forgiveness in our lesson number 37, but let's mention a few things here. To God, forgiveness is not an option, it's a requirement. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're okay with what happened to you. It just means that you no longer hold that person liable for their actions. The beautiful part of forgiveness is, even if we never receive a reward from the enemy we love, we will receive one from God.
Amen. Well, that's it for this week. Please like, comment, and share. And as always, please let us know if you have questions or if there's a topic you want discussed. I hope that at least you get one thing out of this discussion. That is, that it is possible for love to eventually win over an enemy. See you next week. Be blessed.